So news was coming out lately about the Lamont Roach and Tank Davis fight. And I was sitting here thinking, and I seen a couple of things that reminded me to talk about this. But Lamont Roach and Tank Davis has a fight coming up on March 1st. And it's a rematch clause that has been confirmed by Lamont Roach that was included in this fight. Just in case Lamont Roach comes out with a victory, that they'll be able to have another fight with Tank Davis in the near future, immediately. That could be enabled if Lamont Roach is able to get this victory. And that's a good thing, knowing that Tank Davis' team and others around him believes that Lamont Roach has a good enough chance to win this fight, and that they would need to put in a rematch clause. I know a lot of fans out there will say, Lamont Roach ain't that good to get a win over Tank and force him to get a rematch. This is boxing, man. Like, as we go up now, these fights are starting to get tougher and tougher. And this is truthfully, unbiasedly right now, I can actually say that Lamont Roach could cause a lot of same problems that Eastside Cruz has caused. He won't be as aggressive, but he could cause a lot of issues, a lot of surprises. He has a lot of tools in his arsenal, and the experience he's gained over the last 7-8 years, maybe it was more beneficial. Maybe he's gotten more experience since he's fought Tank Davis than Tank Davis has fought since he fought him. And it just goes to show that the belief in people around Tank Davis think that Lamont Roach is a threat to the point where he needs a rematch clause. And that's a good thing, because that lets me know that, maybe I should think a lot more about this fight going into it. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I've been thinking about leaning towards giving Lamont Roach a chance in this fight. I think that he's a very good fighter. I think Lamont Roach is an excellent person when it comes to preparing, his mindset, not really thinking like, oh, I'm just going here to get a paycheck, I'm getting famous and everything else. He's doing interviews and everything else, but he's not really moving any differently than he has before. Same kind of mindset. He's not acting like he won the fight before he had the fight. He's going in with a winner's mentality. He feels like he can become the face of boxing with a victory over Tank. And he knows that if he goes in there and wins this fight good enough, there's a possibility that, who knows, if he goes out there and does a fight where it's just complete embarrassment, maybe he can have Tank to the point where he's thinking about retirement. He actually has spoken about that. Tank has said something about retirement, and I'm not saying he's gonna send him into retirement or anything. I'm just telling you, a lot of things happen in fights to where guys will be like, man, I can't believe that just happened. Let me go ahead and I'm out of here. Look at Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury had a close fight recently, and he felt like the scorecards were just a certain way where he kind of disagreed with that. Small things like that can have a point to where fighters are just tired. And you got to think about it. Tank has been winning fights, and he's already frustrated thinking about retirement. You can't go into a fight like this against a champion thinking about retirement. And people will say, well, Lamont Roach, he's not that good of a fighter and a threat to Tank. He hasn't really done things that other fighters Tank has been in the ring with has done. Tank Davis has more belief in Lamont Roach than the fans do. So who would I believe? Should I believe Tank, or should I believe the fans? Or because Lamont Roach, he has a belt. He's a champion at 130. He's not a 35 champion, but he's still a champion at 130. And for somebody to put a rematch clause on a guy who's a champion at 130, who already fought him before, been in the ring with him plenty of times, knows him just as well as everyone else, that could be looked at as a red flag when you're really thinking about it. It's like, why is he even putting a rematch clause on him, knowing that he could just go out here and get the victory? And, Lamont Roach has already had some issues. He has a loss. So why would he put a rematch clause on him? It's because he knows he's possibly a threat. And that's why everybody's a threat when you're going into a fight. But you're a different kind of threat when you have a rematch clause on you. People know what time it is. And from what I've seen over the years, Lamont Roach has the capabilities of getting things done. He's won some tough fights over his years. He's gotten a lot of experience. And I think that experience is going to play a huge part in this. What I do like about Lamont Roach's resume, not having a lot of names on there, I do like the diverse styles he's seen. He's seen just about every style that you can think of up until this point. And sometimes the guys you don't know about, the names you don't know, are some of the toughest fights you can have. And Lamont Roach being 29 years old right now, he's in his prime. And when a lot of guys he's fought, you could say he probably wasn't at his best. When he fought Jamel Herring, he was 24 years old. Jamel Herring was 34 years old. Huge age gap. And Jamel Herring was having a lot of tough fights. By the time he fought Lamont Roach, he was kind of exited his prime, but that was probably his last fight when he was in his prime. And we all know that Jamel Herring was kind of like a late bloomer almost, because he did start later on in his career as far as a professional. Wasn't too long ago that he was professional, but you got to think about it. He started around 25, 26, his pro career. So by the time he got to 34, that's when, 8 years in, tough fights. That's when you start to decline a little bit. And as we seen in the Shakur Stevenson fight, he still was able to go out there and give Jermaine Ortiz a tough fight that he lost. But the guy's been entered to win it for a long time. He even had a close fight against Jackson John England last year in Australia. I thought that was, I don't know if he was a late replacement or something like that. It was some kind of issue where it was something weird going on. But, it's anybody's day, man, to be honest with you. Anybody's day. When somebody put a rematch clause on you, you better pay attention to it. We seen what happened to Jaime Munguia recently with the guy, Bruno Shiraz. So it only takes one punch. That guy has 24 fights, 24 wins, something like that, and only like 4 knockouts. So for him to have 4 knockouts and to go out there and give Jaime Munguia his toughest fight and to stop him, the first guy to stop Jaime Munguia, and he had like 27 fights with only 4 knockouts, and he had 2 draws, anything can happen. And Lamont Roach's record looks just about similar as his. He has 1 loss, but that guy didn't have the same amount of fights or the same kind of competition as Lamont Roach does. So anything can happen these days in boxing. They are really having 50-50 fights right now. And this is about as borderline as you get. And I feel like you can't be playing with fire when you have a guy like this. And you're putting a rematch clause on him. Maybe that's a motivator. Maybe that boosts Lamont Roach's mindset. Like, man, these dudes putting a rematch clause on me. They know I'm a threat. So that gets all the nervousness out of you. But somebody puts a rematch clause on you, and you're the type of fighter like Tank Davis is, that can only motivate somebody like Lamont Roach, where they know you're a threat, and they want you to beat this guy twice. Even if you beat him once, you got to beat him twice.